So I think now it's time for us to move on and look through different common jobs. So I'm going to show you the job. This person's looking at the money and numbers in the company. What kind of job is that? I am an accountant. Okay, so if you say, oh, what do you do? I'm an accountant. Where do you work? Oh, I work for KPMG in the city. So what exactly do you do? Well, I work with corporate accounts. So I work with other big companies, and I might spend most of my time just working on 3 other companies, and I spend all of my time reading through their accounts and checking their records and making sure their accounts are all in order. So that's what an accountant might say to that question. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to work through and say, what do you do? What exactly do you do? So accountants look at pay slips. They look at profit and loss sheets. Other vocabulary, I think you need to go and have a look yourself. Okay, so this situation, I just bought a new car. Hey, I've got a new car, thank you very much. Who did I buy it from? I bought it from a salesperson. Now, salespeople can be anything. Now, we might still say salesman, saleswoman, but salesperson is the politically correct term. We need to be nice and not say that this job's for men and that job's for women. So salespeople. My sister is a salesperson. She works in the hotel industry. She goes around the world selling contracts to high-level hotels, not 5-star hotels, like above 5-star hotels. She meets companies and says, will you send your people to our hotel company? Now, they might work in car sales, furniture sales. Pretty much every company has a sales department. Our school has a sales department that tries to get more students to come to our school. So when somebody says, what exactly do you do? A salesperson, it's pretty obvious and pretty easy. I meet with customers every day and try to tell them about our product, or tell them about our hotel, or I try to sell them our cars. That's a fairly usual thing. Most salespeople in big companies will do sales lunches, or they'll meet the customer and sit down and build a relationship with that person before that person will sign the contract. Okay, now I'm talking about the industry here. Companies that build buildings. There's a special word for that kind of company. Do any of you know what that is? It's a construction company. Now, I'm not necessarily thinking anyone on this course watching me is a builder. Not the person that goes away and does the building. I'm guessing most people here, you might be in the office. You might be a manager. So you might say, I work in construction. Okay, so you don't say, I am a builder, I work in construction. So again, maybe you manage the builders. Maybe you do sales for the building industry. And this can work across many other industries. For example, the IT industry, the education industry. So for you guys, the main thing is to think about, I work in construction. Really? What exactly do you do? Well, I'm a site manager. So I basically, at the moment, we're building a new apartment building near the beach in Qingdao, and I manage every part of that project. I make sure the people are doing their job. I make sure the engineers are communicating with the builders. I make sure that we have salespeople trying to sell the apartments for when we finish. Okay, so that's what you might say if you work in construction. Okay, who's this person here? Now we got 2. One is a higher level, that would be the doctor. Later on, we'll look at the other job this could be. Now, with a doctor, of course, I'm not going to go into all the vocabulary. There are many different kinds of doctor. But if somebody says, oh, I'm a doctor, the question might be, oh, what kind of doctor? But they might not say, what exactly do you do? They might say, what kind of doctor are you? Now, that depends. Now, you might say, I'm a GP. A GP is a general practitioner. A general practitioner generally doesn't do anything to your body. They'll usually look at you. They'll listen to your heart. They might look in your nose, your eyes, your ears, and they'll look in your mouth. They might feel your pulse. They might feel your pulse. So they're going to find out they're the first kind of doctor people usually see when they don't know what is wrong with them. A GP, a general practitioner. The GP is probably the most common kind of doctor because most people just go to the GP. The GP says, okay, this is the problem here, take this medicine. If you have a bigger problem, they might send you to a specialist. Now, a specialist works in different areas. There could be an ear doctor, a nose doctor. There's a pediatric surgeon. A pediatrician works with children. A surgeon is the person that, cuts people open and looks inside your body and probably earns a lot more money than other kinds of doctors. Now, again, I'm not going to go through all the different kinds of doctors there are, but if you are a doctor, you need to know the noun, what kind of doctor are you, and a little bit of vocabulary. You don't want to explain every little thing you do, just a general idea. Okay, now this could be a couple of different jobs, but I'm thinking about what we talked about earlier. Somebody they're not a builder, but they're a little bit above builders. They tell the builders what they're building and how they're building it. So yes, that is an engineer. Now the people that draw the pictures of the house, that's an architect. Architect's more specific. Architect designs the houses on paper. They draw them. Whereas an engineer thinks about the scientific building. They might build a bridge. They look at making sure that when they build this building, it doesn't fall down. So an engineer is an important thing. Now again, people might say, oh, you're an engineer? What kind of engineer? Because you could have a construction engineer. They make sure buildings don't fall down. You could have a mechanical engineer who works with machines and equipment, maybe with making cars. You could have an aeronautical engineer. An aeronautical engineer designs planes and aeroplanes. You could have an electronic engineer. An electronic engineer deals with electricity, power. So this is the electricity goes into my computer. An electrical engineer might study the way electricity goes in things. So many different kinds of engineers. So again, you need to say what kind of engineer and maybe say a little bit about your particular job. So I might say, oh, I'm an aeronautical engineer. Wow, you make planes? Well, personally, I do testing of the structure of the planes. So what do you mean? Well, I test that it's not going to fall out of the sky. So we test that the planes are okay to fly. Oh, wow, that's a very important job. Yes, I know. So engineer, so many different kinds of engineer. Now, again, some people buy things from one country and send it to another country, or they buy things from China and sell it to other countries, or they buy things from other countries and bring it into China. Do you know what these people are called? Well, you might say I'm a businessman and I work in import-export. So businessman or business person, we still actually say businessman quite a lot. So businessman, that's a very, very general term. Now, not many people say, I'm a businessman. They might say, I'm a trader, is another thing you can say. I work in import-export. This is a common job. Many, many, many people I've met in business teaching, in teaching business English, they're importers. Or actually, more common in China, they are exporters. So China produces lots of things. So, for example, this is my water bottle. Very thin. It's designed so it can fit next to my books in my bag. I saw somebody had this. I went online. I bought this. It is from China. So somebody in China sold this to me in Australia. So that person who sold it from China is an exporter. Some companies buy many, many, many things from China to Australia. They are importers. Some companies do both. It's very common for a company to do both. Because if you have the connections to sell things to another country, you usually have the same connections to buy things from that country. So I know that working in Weihai, there's a lot of companies that do import and export to Korea because Korea is very, very close to Weihai. And of course, it's a way that many people start their own small company buying one particular thing. So people might say, oh, what do you import? Oh, I import clothing. I import plastic drink bottles. Now, of course, we have the other thing, we have a nurse. Now, doctors and nurses, I think two of the most important jobs in the world to be a doctor, especially a doctor, but also a nurse. When we are sick, we need people to look after us. Generally, when somebody says to you, what do you do? I'm a nurse, they're not probably going to say, what exactly do you do? They'd probably say, which hospital do you work in? What hours do you work? Because nurses often work what we call shift work. That's where for this week you work from maybe 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. or something like that. But next week you work from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. or something like, no, sorry, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., something like that. That is called shift work. So of course, nurses help look after sick people. A very, very general term, you work in an office and your company does something you don't really know what to say, but you're maybe a manager. I'm an office manager. So an office manager could be in any kind of company. You have people working for you. Now, of course, at the top you have the CEO and you have different levels of manager, but an office manager might be a general person. You tell the accountant what to do. You tell the salespeople what to do. You tell the engineer what to do. So that could be a general word for you. Or you could say, I'm a manager in a construction company. I'm a manager in an accounting company. So manager can just be a general word. You could say a manager in this kind of company. Another very common job, I've seen a lot of these around Weihai, a real estate agent. Real estate is property, houses, apartments. An agent will help you to buy or sell or rent a house. So they will take you around. You want to buy a house? They will take you to look at a new house or a new apartment. They'll take you around from home to home to home until you find the one you like. And then they'll take part of the money. They sell a house for 1 million renminbi, 5 million renminbi, they get quite a nice amount of money from that. So they're going to do all the documents and paperwork to help this person sell the house and to help this person buy the house. People might say, what kind of real estate do you do? So, I deal in renting. Now, renting is when you don't own the place. It's not your home. You pay someone else to live in their home. That is rental. So you have buying, selling, renting. 3 keywords, buying, selling, and renting. Last job on here, I believe, that we're going to look at, I don't need to say very much about this. My job, I'm a teacher. So normally people say, oh, what kind of teacher? They're not really going to say, what exactly do you do? We know what teachers do. They can say, what school do you work in, or who do you teach? So I'm a university professor, or I'm a high school teacher. I'm a primary school teacher. I'm a private school English teacher, or we call ESL, English as a Second Language teacher. So that's the main thing people say. Where do you teach? Oh, I work in this school. Who do you teach? I teach middle school students. I teach year 9 students. Okay, so I don't think you really need to explain what you do as a teacher. You just say where you teach and who you teach. Okay, guys, as usual, any questions for me, any topics you would like me to talk about in the future, please send them to us. I really want to make videos that you guys are interested in and answer questions that you want to know about. Okay, these first videos, the first series of videos I'm making, they're my ideas. In the future, I'm going to focus on what you want. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.